What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. I've been trying to get you on here for a while. Just we finally aligned our schedules.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you to be here, man.
Yeah, me too.
So I want to jump right into it. First off, most people like in this space may know who you are, and then some probably don't. But if you can kind of just give us kind of a background on what it is you're doing, what you got going on.
Well, right now I'm working at North DeSoto High School, coaching the high school wrestling program, as well as NDWA, which is North DeSoto Wrestling Academy. We have a middle school program. Between those three, I'm juggling 150 plus kids. And then we don't really have an off season. We're year round, but when wrestling is kind of at the low part of the year, I spend a lot of time working for my father at Barando Farms, which is a thoroughbred racehorse farm. Working with the yearlings and prepping them for the sales.
Got you. So you've been in wrestling since, I mean, when did you get started? Like how young?
My mom says when I was in the womb. But really I probably started competing in second grade, first grade.
Which is crazy, and it was in this area, correct?
Yeah.
It was not that prevalent here at that time, you know,
Right.
so.
Yeah, there wasn't any.
Yeah.
There wasn't, Louisiana youth wrestling, which is considered elementary, middle school age level. That didn't start here as far as programs, competition, practices, just the opportunity to be able to do it organized until 96, maybe 95, 96 area.
Okay. That's about right. And it still wasn't, yeah, because I mean, how did you even get into it? What made you want to start doing it?
Well, it's been something that's been going on in my family for a long time. My dad grew up in Del City, Oklahoma. And my grandfather, my uncles, and everybody was extremely involved in wrestling. And so when they moved over, they didn't have wrestling here for even high school in the Shreveport-Bossier area. So my grandfather got with some other guys and got things going at some of the local high schools. This was in, I want to say, 70s, early 70s. And before you know it, Airline and Houghton and Parkway, I think, were the first three programs. And then Bossier High picked up in the late 70s. And now you got 10 to 12 high schools just in our region that are wrestling.
Yeah, and you've been a huge part of that too. I mean, what you guys have down there is insane. I mean, just that many kids from like, what's the youngest age?
We got some 4-year-olds out there.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And what I tell, like, we had this conversation a lot, but like, you've been involved like in training some of the people that I was on the same fight team for years. And honestly, I think I met you when you might have come into Andrea Lee's training camp. I don't know what year that was. Do you know? Remember what year that was?
Had to have been when I first got back from college, 2011-ish area.
Okay.
Karate Mafia, I think, was the place.
Right. Because at that time, it was just it was us, and I think Christian and Chad Leonhardt were there. And then I guess you come in and started working with us as well because Chad was an Oklahoma wrestler. Yeah. And yeah, man, I just like I've had the opportunity to do some stuff with you in the training camps and stuff. But yeah, like it's been crazy to see like your involvement with these fighters and these kids, just what it's done. Like, did you ever do any competition outside of wrestling, or just pure wrestling?
I did a little. So when I got back from college, I was like, okay, my wrestling is for local was elite, right? Like, and so I went into Karate Mafia. Was the first place. It was kind of the gym to go to at the time. And I really enjoyed the striking side of things. And I didn't know it, right? Because growing up, I wasn't a fighter. I kind of tried to steer clear from getting in fights and whatnot, but I knew my wrestling was there. But so I got with Donnie Aaron and I think Dement was over there at this time, and they were like, man, let's kind of steer a direction into boxing. Like you can throw a punch with both your hands. That's think that's the direction we need to go right now before we get into the MMA side of things. And so I took their advice. I went over to Charlton Young's, and I trained with him for about a year. And we had a few amateur fights. And then next thing you know, I get picked up with James Johnson, who was a local boxing instructor at the time, and finished out some amateurs with him. We traveled a little bit, and then it turned into having a pro fight, and that was it. Very small, short, maybe 3 year, 2.5 year ordeal. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was my favorite atmosphere or culture, but the guys, definitely Jake Dement, and at that time you had Donnie and some others. I'm missing names, I'm sure, but they were awesome, and I learned a lot, from them. Yeah,
it was cool just to see you run through that cycle and then come back and then be on the elite level as a coach in a corner. Which is crazy. Walk me through all that. How did that start, and how does that feel, like just having a hand in all these training camps with these professional athletes?
Well, I think a lot of it is and a lot of this has to do with why I went straight into boxing instead of taking the MMA route, because when I went over to Karate Mafia, it was something that they wanted me to help with the wrestling side of things with their fighters versus just being involved in the workouts. Right? Because when I originally went over there, I was going over there to be another partner and train and learn, and it was like, hey, would you mind doing a wrestling class? Would you mind working with this fighter? They got a fight coming up with their wrestling, and I've always had a niche for coaching because my family, my brothers coach, my cousins coached, my dad coached, my uncle coached, and so when I took that jump into that, it just blew up from there, and we started seeing results from the fighters in their wrestling right away, and I think training specifically boxing and striking in my own time, I was able to niche and build that bridge with the wrestling and the MMA, the transition, really well, and I think that helped a lot with the fighters I was cornering.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think you having some experience in doing that and then seeing those, that crossover, because they're two very different sports, but it's important to people to know that if you can teach a wrestler how to box. Yeah. It's hard to teach a boxer how to wrestle. Right. You know what I mean? It just really is.
Footwork.
Yeah. It's just one of those things to where I've just seen a lot of people try to learn ground game too late in the game. Yeah. And it just, they just fell short. And the thing with me was my grappling was never that great. I was just a better stand-up guy. It's just I was just trying to have a base and get back to standing up. That's defend a takedown, let's get back up. I don't want to roll around too long because I'm probably going to get caught in a submission. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I do remember watching you, though. You might not believe me, but I remember watching you grapple before, and I think that your strength was enough to handle business just about anywhere you went around here in wrestling.
Yeah, I use that more than anything. I didn't have much technique, man. But yeah, now it's it's fun. It's fun to look back, but it's also fun to watch the sport evolve. So take me back to let's run through your accolades and how you got through competition growing up and just working your way through college and all that.
Well, in youth, the first youth or USA wrestling program in North Louisiana was called Northwest Warriors. It was started in that 96, 97 area. There was no USA wrestling or youth wrestling competition in our area. You had to go down south to Baton Rouge, New Orleans, which it just began, I think, 95. And so, as a kid, before that was involved, I was the only kid wrestler in our area. So my workout partners were my brothers or the high school wrestlers that my dad was coaching at Airline. And so I had a little bit of a jump on a lot of the kids and won a bunch of the Louisiana USA state championships and freestyle and Greco state championships. And then, you get to high school. I I started at Airline High School, spent 2 years there, and then I'm not gonna say got recruited, but spent some time at Archbishop Rummel in New Orleans. They had a really good coach there, and Jim Ravanack, who's the president of USA Wrestling at the time. We just put together a really nice team over there, and then came back. Hurricane Katrina hit. Came back and spent a little time at Airline, and then moved over to Texas to finish out my season. But overall, we did pretty good in high school. Did great at the national events. I was second at the high school nationals my freshman year, and then junior and senior year I was third and fourth. Wrestled at the AAU Junior Olympics and won that. And then knew that I wanted to wrestle in college growing up, with my dad being an Oklahoma State alumni and wrestling there, and my great uncle wrestled at OU. I knew I wanted to go to one of those, but I didn't have the grades.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going JUCO right out of high school. So I spent some time at Neosho County Community College, did 2 years there, started both years. And then from there, instead of going to Oklahoma State, I transferred to Lindenwood University, which is in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Lindenwood was the Grandview now. So Grandview University has won 11 of the last 12 or 13 NAIA national championships. And when I transferred over there, there was probably 3 guys just at 157 pounds that were returning national champs or All-Americans from JUCO, or just transfers. So really solid team over there. Joe Parisi was the head coach. He retired the year after, and that was the moment that I was like, all right, here's my opportunity to live out my dream and go to Oklahoma State. My dad still has connections and friends over there, and so I went the summer of 2010 or 2011, and spent about 3 weeks with the team. Got all the team gear, which I still wear to this day. I love OSU wrestling so much, and I lived with Andre Taylor and Chris Noddy. Andre Taylor's a Como graduate from Lafayette, Louisiana. Chris Noddy's out of New Jersey, and made a lot of friends. I knew a lot of those guys, but that's kind of the end of my competitive career with wrestling when it didn't work out there. Just didn't have grades and couldn't make the right decisions. So I moved back, and my dad said, hey, you got to figure it out. That's when the MMA and boxing, life came in, and then before you know it, I was coaching.
Yeah, how did you get into coaching it on such a, now y'all have probably one of the largest teams in the state, I would assume, just guessing. I don't know the metrics on that, but how did you start there?
Well, so my dad retired in 2015, I think. He coached for 33 years. And when he retired, he was at Calvary Baptist. He started the program there. They were running for about 5 years before he retired. And that was originally the place that I felt was where I was going to go. And he called me one afternoon. I remember it like yesterday. He said, hey, North DeSoto coach called and asked, if I wanted to come coach. And I told him I was retired, but you just moved back, and if it was the right place, I might be interested. And so I met with them, and they pretty much told me, hey, we have a club, NDWA. It can be your baby. You take it and run with it. And so living in Logansport at the time, where my dad's farm is, it made sense, and I just took it and ran with it. And I think 4 years later, I got into the high school, and now 6th or maybe 7th year that I've been the head high school coach. And I stay involved in both programs. It's obviously a little easier during the off season of high school to be involved with NDWA, but the the way we set it up, or the way I got things running, is when you're done with high school season, you come over to NDWA.
Got you.
And so that's where those high school kids get their off-season training in. And so you got elementary, middle school, and high school all training under the same roof at the same time during the off-season. We got practice tonight. For example, we'll have 75 to 100 kids in there.
It's insane, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, and another thing that's been exciting me, and I'm trying to get my really good friend of mine, his daughter's doing it now. My daughter's she's went to a couple little open mats they've have at Benton, out there at the high school. I think they're on Wednesdays or whatever, because we're right up there, Yeah. But like, we're trying to ease her into it because she's a gymnastic. Like, she's really big into gymnastics, like my wife was, or tumbling and all that stuff. So she's super strong. So like, I'm excited to ease her into it. But that's taken off too. Women's wrestling, like, it's crazy, man. Like, the girls are like, they're no joke, bro.
Yeah, they're competitive. To me, girls are almost more competitive than the boys. And I'm gonna tell you, if your daughter is competitive in gymnastics, and she will have a one-up on girls wrestling right away.
Yeah.
I tried this year. I couldn't get the logistics right. Next year, I'll be prepared for it. But ideally, I'd like for my high school wrestling team to do gymnastics once a week with a real gymnastics instructor, and specifically gymnastics, training, because the unorthodox positions that a wrestler needs to feel comfortable in order to be competitive, you have to not only be limber and flexible in just your ability to compete in those positions, but to still have your muscle memory, and to still have your power and your explosiveness, your torque, in some of those directions and positions. And a gymnast, man, that's all they do.
It's crazy, man. I've seen so many people that have, like, especially specifically females that have like a gymnastic background to come into like CrossFit, or to come into MMA and just like dominate, because their body awareness is so insane.
Yeah.
Like, my wife competes at CrossFit, and I do some, like, not at the level she does, but we always are training together. We just got done earlier. And she gets so frustrated with me because my body awareness is so horrible. She's like, just do this. I'm like, I have to make it. Like, I can't just, you tell me and I don't know what that means. Like, I have to figure it out myself. It's kind of like grappling. Like, I have to be stuck in a position 100 times to figure out how I'm going to get out of it, versus you just, hey, here's this transition. They don't work that way for me,
Yeah.
But they seem to have that body awareness, man. And it's insane. Like, eating, like you said, in those weird positions, they have full autonomy where they're strong in these weird positions that a normal individual who's just training, a certain way aren't,
Yep.
I think and also, like, what have you guys seen in like the weight cutting thing? Because that's always been an issue, or always a controversial topic when it comes to cutting weight for fights. Because the way we used to do it's horrible compared to how it's done now. But like, wrestling's always been, one of those topics too. Like, what does that look like now?
Well, it can be a sore subject if it's not presented correctly, and then as well as is understood. For us at North DeSoto, we don't talk about it. If it's brought up, we almost not make fun of it, but weight cutting. Now they have the weight certification implemented with high school wrestling. In youth wrestling, it shouldn't be done at all.
Yeah.
I understand if you got a 7th grader who's going to the middle school nationals and he's 2 pounds away from a weight class below him, that's a workout, right?
You're not hurting yourself.
But on the high school level, you have the weight certification process, and they go in at the beginning of the season. Every kid, they have to pee in a cup to make sure they're hydrated first, because a lot of these kids will dehydrate. They'll get down to the weight class they want to certify for, and if they're dehydrated, they've been cutting weight, then the test doesn't count. They got to come back another day. And so they'll do that. If they pass their hydration test, they'll check their height, their weight, and based off their age, they'll tell them, this is the lowest weight class you're allowed to wrestle based off a 7% body fat. And, it's
which is very low.
Yeah.
That's very low. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a insurance, so to speak,
Right.
you know, for coaches, for the system, for the LHSA, for the NFHS, the whole 9 yards. And so, but we have kids that pull a little weight. We don't talk about it much. If we got a kid that comes in, he's loaded down in sweats, like we'll tell him, and our kids know it, but we'll tell him, like, you're focused on the wrong things, because you got all these kids that are pulling all this weight, and that's the only thing they're focused on is getting to that next weight class below them. And so their training goes out the window, you know, to where if you just come to practice in shorts and a t-shirt or sweatpants and a t-shirt and you're focused on getting a good workout in and getting better that day, then, you know, your weight's going to be right. The regimen that we train on is crazy to a lot of people. And so naturally their body fats, even our big guys, going to be a lot lower than the average kid their age.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good policies and procedures to have. How long has that certification been going on?
I think it came in my junior year of high school.
Okay. Because I'm not even familiar, because I've never competed on that level. But yeah, I do know that it's funny, because the last fight I hadn't fought in probably 5 or 6 years prior, and I thought that I still was going to fight at the same weight, right?
Yeah.
So like I was walking around like Jeremy Moore passed, shout RIP to him, and he was going to fight, and I was like, well, I'll take his place on this card, you know, just felt like honorable, and I've been wanting to do it one last time, you know. And I was sitting there talking to the guys, and it was like we just left his memorial and all that, and dude, I was 230 pounds, and I was like, I'm going to fight at 185 again. Well, I did.
Yeah.
But dude, it almost killed me.
Yeah.
I cut 50 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
And worst thing I ever could have done, I should have just fought at 205, you know, and it would have been a lot easier for me. But like I had that mentality that I didn't think I'd been working out for 5 solid years, putting on muscle and all that hard, like lean weight. And then I had the mentality, I can just fight back at the weight I used to fight at. Well, dude, it was the wrong decision, you know what I mean? But like, we were always cutting a lot of weight, like, and we didn't know any better. It was just like one of those things where you're strong, you could be even stronger at this weight class.
Yeah.
You know, if you go down, which, you know, at the time, like I said, we didn't know any better, and it was kind of like hard knocks back then, you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny how the evolution of people training and the weight cutting thing, and then also on a fighting level, seeing how much weight you can cut healthily now, like versus used to, it would kill us to cut 20 pounds, where now you can do it in a very safe, you know, measurement, but it's just there's a certain process to doing so with the water load and the right diet and all that stuff.
Yeah. And you know, wrestling and MMA weight cuts it's a different outcome for them, because, you know, in MMA, you get a little turnaround time.
Yeah.
Right? And so in wrestling, you get an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's rough.
And you know, if you cut 20 pounds, which, you know, if I had a kid do that, we'd have a sit down. I would know, I wouldn't allow it. But if a kid did it behind my back and I wasn't keeping up with their weight, we'd have a conversation on Monday about we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you cut 20 pounds and then you go wrestle the next day or the next hour and a half. It's I don't care how you did it, it's going to affect you.
I can only imagine, dude, because the 24-hour turnaround kills me. You know, I put in 20 pounds right back on, but still, you're still dehydrated and tired, and you feel great for a second. You think, and then as soon as you get after that first round, you're like, oh shit, I feel it. I feel the weight cut now. You know?
Yeah, because you just put fuel back in your body, rehydrated, and put on 8 to 10 pounds of things that you weren't putting in your body, you know, the last month of getting your weight down. And so that's why, like wrestling, when those kids are cutting 6 to 8 pounds, our warm-up's extremely important. And we talk about gut check in our warm-up. You have to get that really tough warm-up in. Your first round, you always feel like a big tank of water, and you lose that oxygen that comes from putting those things back in your body that you've been missing for a few days. And so, you know, you get a good warm-up in and get that gut check, almost throwing up, type feeling in your warm-up, you'll perform a lot better in your first match.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just a funny topic. It's always something that's brought up, man, and it's just like, and then the weight classes and the differentiations, like discussing like should there be more weight classes, should there be less, what the crossover is there. So how many female wrestlers do you have now?
High school this year we had 8, and then overall from elementary to middle school, or elementary to high school, we probably had 20, 25 maybe.
And there's enough now to where they can go compete in the wrestling just against
girls. Yeah.
Girls, like you're not having to do the crossover thing that was having to happen there for a little while.
Yeah. Girls have their own age or their own divisions now, and at every age level, elementary, middle school, high school.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It's small brackets, and on the high school level, it's not by division like the boys, based off your school size, but it's. I think everybody understands why, and we're just glad to have it and take off and run with it.
Yeah. And so you guys recently had a big tournament, didn't you?
Yeah, we had the LHSAA state championships.
How did that go?
Went really good. It was at the Brookshires Arena in Bossier, and we, a lot of the talk leading up to it was from the South Louisiana teams. They didn't know what to expect from us. They knew we were good, but they didn't know how good, right? Because we don't spend a lot of time in South Louisiana, and not for any other reason, but you can travel 4 hours to New Orleans and wrestle, or you can travel 4 hours to Tulsa or Oklahoma City, or 6 hours to Kansas or Missouri. And so we try to be smart with our finances and where we're spending that money, and it just made sense to go where the hotbed of wrestling is, and that's your Tulsa area. So we spent a lot of time there. Came over and wrestled in the state championships, and we put 7 guys in the finals out of 14 weight classes.
Nice.
I think we had 10 or 11 in the semifinals, and overall, we wrestled great. We had kids that were seeded 7th, sophomores that 50-50 records, barely over 50-50 records because of the caliber of competition they're wrestling in their regular season, and they came in and broke through the quarters, beating 3 seeds, and then to the semis, beating 2 seeds, and it's like, who is this kid? What are they doing? And so we were excited about it. We wanted to win. We lost by a match. I think it was 6 points or 6.5 points, but I was extremely impressed and proud of the way our program competed at the right time.
And so you're coaching, so like you have the elementary, middle school kids, and that's through your own division y'all have set up, and then you have the high school level, and then there's a combined too, right? The combination there.
Yeah. So NDWA starts off in October. Yeah. September area. We'll do a registration for that, and anybody can sign up at that time. Elementary, middle school, high school kids. And then we have a middle school team, which is a pretty short season. I think that's where we're lacking as far as Louisiana as a whole. We don't, our leaders don't put a whole bunch into the middle school season, which I wish we did. But
do you think that's just because it's still kind of new? And I know when I say new, I mean new for like that age group competing on a state level, like. Kinda,
but. To a lot of programs, yeah.
Yeah, that's what not like for you, but like for some other small areas or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and just I think a lot of our issue in North Louisiana is we have coaches, and I'll always be grateful for anybody that puts in time to coach wrestling, whether they wrestled or not, where they're at, what school, it doesn't matter. We need wrestling coaches, right? But I think the reason why we're lacking or behind in some of the layout, and then as well the caliber of programs is the caliber of coaches that we're lacking.
Gotcha.
We need more qualified coaches, and so these kids that go wrestle in college or successful in high school, it's important for them to come back and go in that line of work, right? Which I know is tough, but we try to open it up at North DeSoto, whether it's elementary club, middle school, high school, for anyone that's qualifies as a coach that that understands the sport and what to do. So
we were talking before we started. Y'all went over to DC's gym in camp. How was that? Like, what was that like? Like going over there. When did y'all do that?
So we went last year. We went to Gilroy, California. The Gilroy tournament's been known. I think it's called Mid-Cals. It's been known as one of the better, tougher tournaments in high school wrestling in the country. And we were going to the Kansas City Stampede, which is a tough one. We went for a few years, and we were like, hey, let's kind of venture out and get some kids exposed to that West Coast style wrestling. And it just made sense with DC being from here. Like let's go over there to that. And so reached out to him, and man, he was first class to us. He who he is as a competitor is who he is as a person.
Yeah.
Right. And so told us the best place to stay. Told us the best restaurants. I mean, we just had an awesome time. We got an Airbnb. Our kids competed super well. I think we had 5 or 6 kids medal.
Nice.
2 of them were third. One made the finals. I mean, it was a huge weekend for us overall. And, you know, when you do something like that and you spend 4 days on a trip like that with your high school wrestling team, the bond and the, you know, just the gluing that takes place was awesome for us. And I think that helped a lot. I think it took more toll this year than it did last year. But, yeah, it was awesome. We really enjoyed it. We plan to go back next year. This year we couldn't because our regionals was scheduled the same weekend as their tournament.
Got you. Well, yeah, and man, what I'm trying to think. So what, Josh, will you pull up his, you might know him, but what's Daniel's accolades like on the wrestling level? Like, I know he's got a lot.
Yeah, he won state championships in high school. He wrestled at Southside High School in Lafayette.
Yeah.
Then he went to I don't think he started at Oklahoma State. He might have. I could be wrong, but I feel like he started at a junior college first.
So let's see here. So where were we at? So he's Northside High School, like you were saying.
Northside, yeah.
And then
won 3 states and had championships for wrestling.
3 state championships, 9th grade. Only lost twice, both by injury default.
Yeah.
Okay, so his final high school record was 101-9 with 89 victories coming by fault. Like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And then when you said, there it is, Colby Community College in Kansas, 2-time junior college national champion at 197 pounds. And then from there, he went to Oklahoma State University. And then he went, 26-5. And he become an All-American. Yeah, so 3 seed, 184 pounds. And then let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. His record's insane. And then he went on to do Olympic wrestling.
Yep.
And then
medaled at the Olympics.
Medaled there at the Olympics. So, like, some people know him they just know him as a fighter, you know, as a 2-division champion in UFC and now a commentator. But, like, his background purely was wrestling before he got into, you know, I guess went to fight to make some money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, man, he's phenomenal. And when that dude grabs you, oh my God, man! Yeah. It's like he can do whatever you want, like whatever he wants with you, man. It's crazy. But yeah, that's exciting just to be able to go over there and then actually like compete with those guys.
Yeah,
you know, at that level.
Yeah, yeah. It was a great experience for our guys, and you know, to me, if you ask me where the hotbed of wrestling is in the country, Pennsylvania, California, Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma, and some might disagree, but I think Oklahoma has some of the best wrestling in the country. You know, but
why do you think that is? It just because it's been seated there so long?
History.
Yeah.
Yeah, history, legacy.
And of course, Penn State, man, they've been pulling weight for quite a while.
Yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with the culture as well and the history as well. You know, Pennsylvania's. There's a lot of factory worker type parents.
Yeah, rough grit, blue collar guys.
Yeah. And
gals.
Yeah, and they, you know, those kids. I grew up going to camps and training in the summer over there in the Pittsburgh area, Latrobe area, with a lot of my dad's friends, and so I try to send my high school kids there now because the grit, like you said.
That's a good point. point, though. I never thought about that. But, yeah, that and fighters, too. Boxers out of there, like MMA fighters out, like just that, yeah, like you said, that blue-collar community, man. Like there's no bullshit mentality there.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's crazy because this is something my dad's always said. Like, Louisiana has some of the best athletes in the world. I mean, when it comes to just raw athleticism, you're not going to find any better than what we have in our state. But that leads back to the qualified coaches, right? So you bring in some coaches that have a really big background in wrestling. They can do big things with their athletes. And, you know, it's a little joke that we have is one of my buddies that's up in Pennsylvania. He coaches at Rob Waller's All-American Wrestling Camps, and he also is a clinician at Young Guns Wrestling Camp, which is one of the better camps in the country for youth wrestling. He'll talk about, when we see a kid from Louisiana at the Nationals, you know, in our bracket, or he's our first round, we're kind of excited because we know we got a easy first round match. And my dad tells him we feel the same way when we catch a team from Pennsylvania in a football bracket or a baseball bracket. We know we got an easy first round matchup.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, no, that's funny. Well, so what's coming for you guys? I mean, you have you have that many students. I mean, that many athletes and students. And just like, are you guys still growing? Like, are you busting at the seams right now? Like, what's your program looking like?
The day after the state championships, you know, not achieving our goal, we took second. I stayed home and you know, just kind of took it all in. And then Monday morning I woke up and said, all right, let's go. You know, I knew however I respond is how our program's going to respond, right? Being a leader. And I met with the high school wrestlers. Club's been going. They're still going. We're just attacking the Louisiana season that's cranking up. They've been hitting the Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma season, going to those events. And I told our high school guys, I said, hey, you know, we got what we deserve. There's no excuse. We're not going to say this match or that match. The only thing that matters right now is what we're doing right now. And so this past week, you would think that a lot of those kids would want to take a week off just coming out of that high school season, but they were at club practice. And nice. They're getting their USA Wrestling cards, and we're attacking it. And, you know, we got plans for some guys to go to the Nationals. And then, you know, we have a freestyle and Greco-Roman season coming up for all ages. We're hoping for a big turnout on that. And my favorite part about it is, you know, I love North DeSoto. I love NDWA and our program and the people involved. But more than anything, I love wrestling.
Yeah.
And this is the time of year that kids from all over, doesn't matter what school you go to, where you're from, who your coaches are, can get together and train. And when you get the best kids together, there's growth there.
Well, that's extremely important. We've discussed it, and I've talked about it a lot with other people. But you see, even and like I said, I'm not familiar with wrestling as I am with fighting, but like you can see those people who are phenomenal fighters who aren't able to advance because they're not moving around and training with the best people.
Yeah.
They're the best people at their gym. They're even the best people in their state. They might be the best people in their region, but they're not pushing themselves because they've gotten to that top level or climbing that ladder, but then they're just like you see the potential, like, dude, they're so phenomenal, and then you put them like in a fight and you're like, well, they fell to the wayside here from one thing or another, and it was probably just from not being able to see every level of training.
Right. And
that's extremely important because you can have the best kids on your team, and if they're not getting pushed to their limits or learning new things, it happens.
Yep. Yeah, there's in North Louisiana, they're at every school. Parkway, Airline, Benton, Byrd, Evangel, you name it. I'm sure I'm missing some. Houghton, Caddo Magnet. You have kids that are you know, can really do well and set themselves up ultimately for wrestling can be an avenue to gain a degree.
Yeah.
Right. And so to me right now, that's what I'm focused on is you know, getting out to all these coaches and all these kids, like, hey, let's get together and train, right? It doesn't have to be at North DeSoto every time. I can bring all 80 kids, 100 kids to some other school that has a workout, and let's put our kids together and help them push each other and grow as wrestlers. And I think when we get to that point, I think that's when North Louisiana wrestling will move forward and improve tremendously. I think that's the key right now.
Yeah. Well, what, man, it's one of those things. I completely drew a blank. I was about to ask you something. So what does it look like regimen-wise? That's what I was going to ask you. So regimen-wise, like, what does that look like? And I don't want to like take any trade secrets or anything, but like, what do you have these guys doing when it comes to like cardio, diet? Like, are we lifting any weights? You said you're going to implement gymnastics soon. Like, what does all that look like?
During high school season, we have a 3-period system. So high school season runs from October to February right now, and so the first period we are strictly technique. Our basic skills drills that we do every practice, things that you got to be really good at in every position, and then we focus on our core techniques. And there's about 3 in each position, right? We have a really good inside tie series. We do a couple things from elbow control on our feet, and then we also know how to move our feet from the open and get our attacks off with just first line defense, head, hands. And then underneath, it's not a big arsenal, it's not a big toolbox, it's more mentality, get out, right? And so we got some stand-up stuff, some knee slide stuff, and some sit-out series. And then the top position, you're either, in my opinion, a tilter or a legger. If you're a tilter, you ride a cross wrist ride, and if you're a legger, you ride a spiral ride to get your legs in. And then we have a cross face series that we use as well. But we're real heavy on that in the first period of season. And then, approaching mid-season, early mid-season, we'll go into more repetition mindset and practice planning. And so the things that they should be really good at, know, and understand, you have to be able to apply those when the bullets are flying. Yeah. Right?
Which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Because you got to put them under some duress, you know, and see if those stick,
Yeah, and they'll, we'll have speed drills and intensity drills, and then sparring helps a lot with that. And then your third period, which is we say about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks out from the state championships. We call it dog season, and there's a lot of live wrestling involved. Real drilling. And when I say real drilling, your partner is giving you a different look every time, a real feel every rep, and you're not able to finish clean and correctly on every rep, right? You're having to continue your wrestling, and an athlete can get to the legs. It takes a wrestler to finish on the legs, right? And so we focus on that, and in the conditioning side of things, we believe wrestling and your drilling really takes care of it. We don't do a whole lot of running. There is some. It's more mentality.
That's something it's hard to train, right? I guess you're pushing them through all that stuff. That's going to build some grit there, but there's got to be, some people were cut out for it, some aren't, Yeah. Does they weed themselves out through that process, or?
Well, yeah and no. Within the first 3 weeks of season, the kids that weren't going to make it,
they're folding.
Yeah,
gotcha.
If you make it past 3 weeks, then your heart's there.
Gotcha.
Right, and so to us, that's it, and we kind of have an idea of who the starter's going to be. You can only send one kid to the state championships in each weight, and we have an idea of who that is going into that dog season, and we try to, our coaches try to focus more on those starters at that point, and that's pretty much it. Off season, heavy lifting, you would think heavy reps and lightweight, but that's more end season. You lift in season just to stay tight and maintain strength, but the off season we don't talk about weight cut. We don't talk about weight class. There's a long road ahead of that, and we just focus on getting better and getting stronger.
So what do those lifts look like? What's the kind of bread and butter for that?
So we'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. So we got a lot of sports at North DeSoto that go year-round, summer workouts. We like to be the first ones to get in there. start our day off with it. And so we'll warm up with a couple laps to get our heart rate up, our sweat going. We go into the weight room, we turn the music on, and most of them are core lifts. We do a lot of squats, different types of squats, and cleans, a lot of pulls. I think pull-ups is great for wrestling, and then explosive movements. Bench press, we throw it in there, but it's not there's not a lot of areas that you're going to use that.
You're not just using your arms to push someone off of you.
Yeah. So grip, pull, and shoulders and core is what's important for us.
Yeah.
And heavy reps. And so during the season, ideally we would want to focus more on conditioning our muscles and getting tired, and then going from one set to another, and there's no downtime, a quick in and out type thing.
So they're doing like an hour workout, like something like that? Or
if that, yeah, 45 minutes. You get 5 or 6 different lifts or exercises and volume on them, and your muscles are tired. If we had it our way, we would go in right after a good hard practice when our body's tired and beat up, and you go in there and just attack it really hard, really quick, and I feel like you see a lot of results from that.
Yeah. I think, what about I think it's cool that y'all do it first thing, like getting them outside of like working hours, like 6 a.m., that's building more mental fortitude there too. Like if you're getting there at 6, you gotta get up at 5, get yourself together, eat something, whatever, wake up and get there,
Yeah.
And like, so do y'all focus on any diet stuff? Do you talk about that? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, we always preach good nutrition, right? One of the things I like to say is what kind of fuel would you put in a Corvette? You know what I mean? But it's not such a heavy topic during the summer.
Yeah.
Wrestling's a grinder in season, and the amount of adversity and things that these kids got to deal with compared to your average student athlete is crazy. And so we do talk a little bit of nutrition and putting the right things so you maximize your results from your exercises. But at the end of the day, as long as they're showing up and they're giving 110% in their exercises, their lifts, and their training during the off season, we're patting them on the back and keeping them motivated.
Yeah. I think it's extremely important. I think it's just great for, even if they don't continue to wrestle the rest of their life or career or whatever they do, like just having that base of understanding how your body moves and like controlling things, and God forbid you ever get in a scenario where you need to get someone off of you or help someone or something. Yeah. I've discussed this with other people, especially like military guys, police officers, stuff like that. Having that in your toolbox, you know what I mean? Just having those skill set, whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, both of those are amazing. Like if you're going to get someone who can throw some punches, man, but if you have those in your toolbox and you grab a hold to them, I mean, dude, it's over with. You can do what you want to with them, and not as an aggressor, but more as an equalizer. You know what I mean? I think it's great to have it, especially for young women, man.
Yeah,
that's something that is extremely important. I think, like having that, that in their toolbox and being able to know that they can be confident and they don't have to worry about someone messing with them,
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool. I think it's just another thing is just like if they decide to go into maybe combat sports one day, like having that, like I wish I had that because dude, I didn't know anything on the ground, bro. Yeah. Like you put me on the ground, I'm just like, I'm trying to get back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good thing to have, and I've never thought of it that way just because wrestling was the only thing I knew. But it's the confidence and the ability to be able to adapt in really any situation that you're in, combat or just anything in life.
Well, mentally too. Yeah, I mean,
mentally.
Just being able to. But any sport you go to and you compete, and it's an individualized sport, like it's different team sports. And look, I've done both. Like I played football, played baseball, but individualized sports just does something more for your brain, like, in my opinion, like development, like giving you more confidence. I treat it like some sort of therapy too. Like I'm pushing myself to, like we just had a hard workout before I got in here today. Like I pushed myself and got a PR on a couple movements, and I didn't even go in thinking I was going to do that, but when I got there, it was time to go, and it was there, you know. But like just being able to do that is important, and like so many people are sedentary, especially children, man, because like we've gotten so comfortable in society and what like just because look, man, it's just life has gotten easier, you know. And for these kids, I have two of my own too, and you know, it's a lot easier than it was when I was that age, you know. And the generation before that was harder than ours, you know. So like just still putting them in some adversity, I think is great, you know, because they don't get it as much as we did, and you know, so on and so forth. No,
one of the things that we talked about this year with our program, kind of our motto, it's always been get tough, right? At the end of the day, no matter what hits you in life, you're going to have to make one or two decisions. And we've always preached, just get tough, figure it out, right? There's no excuse, because when you start focusing on excuses, then you know, your mind starts taking you a direction that's not going to find success for you. But this year, we really talked about what's crazy to most is our standard.
Exactly. That's a very good point.
And that, you know, one day we were in practice and we were getting after it. I mean, the room was hot, the music was loud, there was kids wrestling. We don't have a wrestling room yet, so there was kids wrestling on they were on the stage. I mean, in the hallway. I mean, it was nuts. If somebody that didn't understand the sport walked in there, they'd be like, what's going on here? And just naturally, out of instinct, you know, I looked at them and I said, what's crazy to most people is your standard. That's what we're doing here. And when you have the ability to think like that and approach your training as in, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, who you're with, like, I'm going to be competitive. Man, great things happen for you mentally. And our kids bought into that, and you wouldn't believe the amount of go that we saw from them for the rest of the season when we started preaching that. You know, it's kind of like the old, I give you $100, or I ask you to run to that wall and back, I'm going to time you, and you make it in 30 seconds, but now I'm going to give you a $100 bill if you can make it in 25 and you made it in 20. Well, that kid wanted that $100 bill. That quote was very similar to that for these kids this year. It was fun. And I'm glad that it came up for us.
Yeah, I mean, given that, just that situation being there and just saying, okay, well, now we have this to talk about, because it's important, man. It really is, I think. And it doesn't matter what sport it is. I mean, wrestling's amazing, but if anything, like doing something to push yourself. Because we're never to our limit, because if we're at our limit, we'd be, you know, we'd be done. So, like, none of us ever push ourselves to our absolute limit, or some people do, and you know, it's to their detriment. But like, there's always a little bit left in the tank, even though you think there isn't, you know. And just being able to, like, that's just a sport that you have to, like, the individual's trying to do something to you, trying to keep them from doing it to you, and you're also trying to do it back to them, you know. And it's if people don't understand it, you know, they don't get what, you know, what that does for you. But and not to mention just developing muscle development early on too, you know, stuff like that's important. Like, if you, like I said, if you're gonna do any other sport, like do you ever like have the football players come in there or whatever?
Well, we hired on a coach that's been with football for a few years. And he's done great with everything, but we're starting to see some bigger guys come in because he's the D-line coach, and it's helped a bunch. We have in the past had, you know, some of the really big, strong, athletic football kids come in and didn't have a wrestling background. And I try to have a conversation with them before their first practice about, hey, sitting like other sports, you know, it's you got to relax and have a mindset of learning versus competing right now, because if you go in here and expect to be competitive right away like you do in other sports, you know, it could put a bad taste in your mouth, and typically that's what happens. Yeah,
that makes sense. If they're all-star on the football field or what have you, baseball or whatever, and they get in there and it's like, no, man, you got to back to the basics now. You got to learn.
You got a 106-pounder folding up a 250-pound guy.
That would happen to me. It would happen to me in jiu-jitsu a lot.
But it's been we're starting to see some football guys come out, and it's going to help in those upper weight areas for sure.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Do y'all still do the thing where the dads compete against the kids or whatever? What is that called?
Daddy duels.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that like something y'all do once a year or something?
Yeah, we do it before season starts every year. It's kind of a 50-50 thing. Half of it's a little fundraiser, right? And then the other half is just to get the community and the culture going on wrestling season. And then also, there's, like we were talking about, history in Oklahoma and Pennsylvania and California. We don't have a lot of that in North Louisiana, and especially in Stonewall area, because there's only been a wrestling program for a little over 10 years, I think. So a lot of these dads that have kids on the team, they've never wrestled. Great athletes and great people, but don't have any experience in wrestling. So they come out and spend, we cut it down to like 4 minutes. We give the dads timeouts. I mean, we make the rules in favor for the dads. And the kids still somehow win. But it lets these dads see, okay, now I see what he's going through. When I'm yelling at him in the third period.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point, man, because parents are horrible about that, man. And it's so funny because, like, my daughter had a little fitness competition a couple of days ago, and like I was hearing everyone yell. I'm looking over, I'm like, they're like talking about run faster. I'm like, dude, you can't run at all. Like you got to be kind of mindful of what you're saying to these kids, you know what I mean? But at the same time, or they're still stuck in the mentality when they competed 20 years ago. Yeah. But stuff changes. No, that is cool though. I think I remember seeing that a couple of years ago. I was like, this is hilarious.
Yep.
I bet it's very entertaining too.
Yeah, it is. We do a highlight video of it, and it's super fun. And I think next year we're going to try. Don't hold me to it, but I think we're going to try to have our first mama duels.
Oh, dude, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about the planning of it. We might have to start small, just a couple matches. But I think it would be fun, entertaining, and wrestling will be talked about, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It brings all that attention to that, and right before you guys are kind of kicking everything off.
Yep.
So what else, man? You got anything you want to plug or talk about, or anything coming up?
Man, just I love wrestling. I do a little bit of summer work with my dad. My dad, he coached for 33 years, like I was saying, and he's kind of he's the one that started the youth wrestling in North Louisiana, started the first youth program. My grandfather, with two other guys, started the high school wrestling. My dad was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame this past summer, which was really nice.
What's his name?
Dustin Burton.
Shout out to him, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so when he retired, though, he knew he wanted to still compete. It just wasn't in wrestling, right? He still has a heart for wrestling, still has a passion, and can go to any program in the country and still do his thing, right? But he wanted to compete and be able to spend a little bit more time with family. And so he started a thoroughbred business, and now it went from 2 horses. I want to say he spent $1,000, $2,500 somewhere in there on these 2 mares, and bred them to, some qualified stallions, and he takes them to these sales and sells them, and now he's up to, he might have 30 plus mares, right there in Logansport, Louisiana, and some of these mares have big time backgrounds. They're out of Kentucky Derby champion stallions, and he's got partners, but he runs the internal operation, and so he does all the breeding. You can't AI like you do in quarter horses. You got to live cover everything. He does the foaling process, the yearling prep for the cells.
So you can't artificially inseminate those at all? Really?
Everything's live cover. Yeah, and he has a stallion, but he'll take his mares to different farms and breed to these really nice stallions. And depending on where that stallion's babies are selling well, or that mare's got other babies that are running well. That's the state that he'll take them to for the sale. And you would think that that's where he makes his money, from the sale, right? Because you can sell a baby for $1,000, you can sell a baby for $1 million.
Yeah.
And he hadn't sold one for $1 million, but he has sold a couple for a couple $100,000. But where your money comes from is 22% of everything that baby makes on the track goes straight to his mailbox.
Yeah, you hold residuals on that. That's interesting. I've never dove into that sport, but like it's very interesting how that works.
Yeah, and he's extremely competitive in it, and he's got a lot of good people that he's in network with. He's super honest. He gets his ways of how he does things from wrestling, and one of them is he stood by his honesty. Always be honest with the people you're working with, and that way you never have the hiccups. Right, and you don't achieve something, at least you're honest with yourself. And, and so that's how he's competing, and I've started kind of sliding into that line of business, and he's let me take the reins a little bit more, mainly in the summertime with the sales prep, getting the yearlings ready for the sale.
Have you always been you always had horses or anything beforehand, or is this something just tripped into?
When he got back from Oklahoma State, he worked at Louisiana Downs for a few years. Okay. And he assisted Pat Mouton, and he dealt with that a little bit, and then it was coaching right away for him, so he got out of it. But now the horses are his wrestlers, and that's kind of what he's been doing. But I've really enjoyed, I think, more spending time with them, my mom and dad and family out there. But I enjoy the horses as well, and I'm starting to see, how you can compete in that. When you get competitive in anything, you start taking stock in it, right? Yeah. So, but for me, man, that's it. I'm loving wrestling, enjoying wrestling. I don't see myself doing anything else anytime soon, and my family time out there with my dad, my mom, my wife, my kids. We're all Wrangler wearing on the weekends in the summer, and then singlets in the winter.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I like it, bro. That's awesome. Well, man, I think that's it. We're about at wrap up time, but like I said, it was an honor and a privilege. I'm glad you came on. I know we've been trying to line it up, and I've been wanting to talk about this stuff because I just really think it's important for people to know there's alternatives out there other than just baseball and football. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's a lot of competition in this sport, and it's growing so much, and it can lead into other things for these kids. So
100%. Yeah. If anybody that wants to wrestle and is unsure, man, just do it. Yeah. Right. And if you don't have a place, where NDWA is open to kids, no matter where you live, what school you go to, it's year-round training, and every one of the coaches are there to help you get better. Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah, bro. All right, thanks, man.